Hey, how we doing? Midwest Survivor, time for dinner chat. So I want to say thank you to everybody that has viewed my channel and is continuing to view the channel, continuing to click on the YouTube content, the Facebook shorts, the TikTok videos, and the Instagram and Pinterest snippets. Be sure to click that bell. Be sure to click subscribe, and comment below, whatever you feel comfortable doing. So topic tonight I want to talk about, I kind of wanted to expand dinner chat a little bit. And one thing I want to talk about was 7 signs of a dysfunctional family. And I know if I have any family watching this or viewing this, I know there's going to be some flack and criticism. But listen, you all have your own perceptions. You all have your own viewpoints on how things are, how things were, how things used to be, as do I. And doesn't mean that your side is right and my side is wrong. Doesn't mean that my side is right and your side is wrong. It just means that I see things differently than you do. And I respect you and I respect your perceptions. I only ask that you respect me and respect my perceptions. So, not all dysfunctions are completely obvious. There's no great big flashing neon sign that says, hey, dysfunctional family here, dysfunctional family here. Sometimes these things start out early in your life and then they follow you through the rest of your life until you recognize them and break the cycle. Or in many cases, unfortunately, some people never break the cycle. They just perpetuate it. So I just want to go through 7 quick signs of dysfunctional families that you may have grown up with. So number 1 is that you were taught to keep family secrets no matter what. And I can honestly say that there was many a time around a dinner table or family gatherings or whatever, that different situations were brought up and stuff, and then you hear words like this, well, this stays here in this house, or this is just between the family. That is a sign that there is some secrets that you are being forced to keep that may not or may not necessarily be the right thing to do. Now I'm not saying that everything that the family says, this just stays between the family is necessarily bad. But if it is constantly said or constantly brought up, or constantly mention, hey, we don't talk about that, then that might be some cause for alarm. And a very important question to ask would be, well, why don't we talk about it? So, it's always important to always ask yourself, A, why is it not being brought up? B, why can't it be brought up? And then C, what is the method behind it? So as we move on, another sign that you may have grown up in a dysfunctional family. You felt responsible for other people's emotions. Whether you had one dysfunctional parent, 2 dysfunctional parents, or dysfunctional siblings, you may have felt responsible for their feelings or their baggage or whatever, and therefore because you felt responsible for their emotions, you weren't allowed to either express your emotions, or you were unable to regulate your emotions in a correct manner. So, and these are things that as time goes by, that you begin to learn and you begin to realize And it's not something that is necessarily bad. I'm not saying that being empathetic and caring about other people's feelings is necessarily a bad thing. No, quite the contrary. It is a very good thing. It is a good quality to have. You know, families that don't express their emotions and their feelings are very cold, very robotic entities. But whenever the mindset is that you've got to care about other people's feelings and nobody else's and not even your own, then that's a severe issue that needs to be addressed correctly and appropriately by saying, hey, listen, you know, I've got these feelings and I understand that there's other people involved here, but hey, I've got things going on that I need to talk about and be honest about and be open with. And if you've got a loving, supportive family, that is empathetic, does care about you, and has your best interest at heart, then you will have a safe place to talk about your feelings. If you don't have that, then I would encourage you to find a counselor, find somebody that is licensed, qualified, and more importantly, experienced. You don't want to go to somebody that's just gotten their degree in counseling, but you definitely want to go to somebody that is qualified, a qualified professional, not somebody that is going through some church program of counseling, but somebody that is a recognized medical professional. And more importantly, you don't want to go through somebody that allows the patients to treat and critique the counselor's patients. I know somebody that does that, and I would say honestly that counselor is compromised by doing that. But more importantly, you want to go to a place and go to somebody that is a qualified professional that can give you a honest, unbiased third-party opinion of what you need to do and how you need to deal with these issues. Number 3 is that you establish boundaries, healthy boundaries, that weren't respected, that were treated casually, that were treated as options. I can honestly say that as a child, that my boundaries were disrespected by my parents and by other people that I was in relationships with. This is a very, very serious thing. Boundaries are not just rules, but they are guidelines and boundary lines for your own self-protection. And there's somebody I know that says that well, you don't need to have all these walls up. You don't need to have walls up, and you don't need to do this. Well, actually, yes, you do, because walls help protect us. Walls help preserve us. And when you strip down your walls to nothing, you are vulnerable and you are out there and you are at risk of being damaged and being hurt severely. And that is not a good place to be. You do need some walls up, but you also need gates in between your walls. And you need to have a good gatekeeper that determines who you let in and who you keep out. You don't need to have a bunch of walls without a gate. So the important thing is to have walls, but have a gate, not a literal gate or literal walls, but a gate in your life, a gatekeeper, somebody or something that regulates. This person gets in, this person does not get in. Okay, this person has been in, they need to leave. Whatever. Healthy boundaries need to be treated respectfully and not treated as optional, but treated and saying, hey, listen, you're over the line here and I'm going to shut you down. And it needs to be respected. The other thing is that whenever you address a situation or something and it gets ignored rather than taken care of, that can cause just complete distrust, mistrust, and it's completely abusive on a mental, emotional, and sometimes even a physical level. I can say with experience, there has been instances where I was verbally and physically abused by multiple different people in the church, in different churches that I attended. The first person that did it was I was started whenever I was 6 years old, stopped whenever I was 10, and we moved away. And my parents did nothing to stop it, and they didn't protect me, and they didn't get me out of this situation, and they continued to stay there for another 4 years because God didn't tell them that they could leave. Well, I'm sorry, but God does not tell you that you should let somebody abuse your child physically and verbally and emotionally. The other instance was I was on a youth trip whenever I was 15 years old, and a youth minister, as a hazing ritual, him and a bunch of people held me down and whipped me with a belt, leaving whip marks on my legs and up my back and stuff. My parents go to the pastor. The pastor sweeps it under the rug along with this young man's pastor because he had just gotten his minister's license, and he was a young up-and-coming minister in the organization of which they were a part of, and they couldn't have anything ruin his ministry. So protecting that young man's ministry meant more than protecting a young person who had been physically assaulted. The other issue of problems not being addressed, it leads to all kinds of situations. It leads to mistrust, it leads to distrust, it leads to dysfunction, and it leads to hurt feelings and feelings of inadequacy, feelings of not feeling like that person is worth being protected. It also leads to the feeling of, well, I guess they are more important than me, so I guess I'm not worth all that much, which is wrong. The other issue of dysfunction is where criticism is common and encouragement is rare. I've seen this firsthand. I've experienced it firsthand, where nothing I did was good enough. I didn't clean the pots good enough. I didn't clean the house good enough. I didn't work hard enough. I was working too much overtime and not spending enough time with my family. I wasn't working hard enough and bringing enough money home to pay the bills. I was inadequate and criticized in moments of intimacy of being told that my intimacy skills were not good enough. I went on a weight loss journey this last year. The week before Thanksgiving, I went from 275 pounds all the way down to 210. I'm now 36-inch waist, and I was told constantly that I was wasting my time and that I didn't need to lose weight. And this person was very self-destructive in my journey, of which I'm still on. So, criticism being common and encouragement being rare or non-existent is a big sign of dysfunction within a family. The other thing is love often felt conditional, transactional, based on your behavior or what you accomplished. That is a very, very common feeling as well, where you do something that's good enough and then you get rewarded for it. Or if you don't do something that's good enough, then that love or those feelings get taken away from you. That is often a big sign of dysfunction. That is a very common thing. And then the last one that I want to talk about is speaking the truth that creates conflict, guilt, manipulation, or punishment. I'm undergoing that right now, speaking out and speaking honestly and speaking truthfully. And when you come out of a dysfunctional situation and you begin to speak honestly and you begin to speak truthfully and you bring things to light that narcissists and toxic people don't want to hear, they are going to punish you. They are going to cause conflict. They are going to try to gaslight you. They're going to try to reel you back into their sphere of dysfunction, disunity, and abuse. And let me tell you right now, don't fall for it. If you broke away and went no contact, I encourage you to stay no contact and do whatever you can to become a healthy, stronger person. I had to go no contact. because I was dealing with narcissists within my family. I was dealing with narcissists within my marriage. I was dealing with narcissists within the church. I was dealing with narcissists on every level. And everybody was telling me what I needed to do based on their perceptions. People were telling me that I was crazy, that I needed to be on antidepressants. I was told whenever all this blew up that I deserved to live in a tent out at a state park, quote unquote. I was told by another person that this is what I do. I run away, I hide, I whatever, by family members. You know, nobody has talked to me, nobody has reached out to me, nobody has spoken to me, and everybody is just looking through the fence, looking through the windows, and making their own assessments. And that's fine. You guys are entitled to that. And I respect everybody's opinions. I respect everybody's feelings. However, these are my feelings based on my perceptions, based on my experiences, based on my life. And until you have lived in my skin, walked in my shoes, and endured what I've endured, that does not give you a place or a position to judge me. You know, you haven't lived in my house, you haven't undergone the things that I've undergone, so therefore you are not qualified to be my judge, jury, or executioner. That's another thing too. Narcissists and toxic people are very, very apt to judge you, to condemn you, and to execute you without a trial. Not literally, but verbally, emotionally, whatever, which way. And most people don't become healthy until after childhood. And they realize that as they become adults, then they start asking the difficult questions. And by asking those difficult questions, then you can start doing difficult things and doing hard things to become healthy, to become stronger, to break that cycle of dysfunction. So let me conclude with this. I want you to stay healthy. I want you to stay strong. I encourage you and implore you, if you know of people that are going through these same situations, encourage them in any way you can. Send them the YouTube links to Dinner Chat. There'll be a snack short tomorrow around lunchtime that I will be doing from my work truck. So be sure to like and subscribe that and check that out. Also, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and X. There's going to be more content to follow. You know, this is a big journey, and just because you make progress in your journey doesn't mean the journey ends. It just takes on a different phase of the journey. So I encourage you, as I conclude Dinner Chat tonight, stay healthy, stay strong, stay encouraged. You can overcome, you can break the cycle, you can break the wheel that has been crushing you your entire life. And as always, you all have a good night. I'll see you tomorrow.